Okay, so hello everyone. I guess we can start our class today. We were doing economics in our last class. We started economics from Unit 4 in your social studies. If you please take out your student book and we're going to continue from there. It's lesson 2. It's page number 92 from the student book. Can you please take out your books? I'll share the screen. Yes, the homeworks that I've given, confusing. They were a bit confusing, I guess, right? Okay. Okay. I'm just waiting for everyone to give their answers. I've got yours, I've got Jessica's, I've got Rubaya's, I've got a few other homeworks, but then I haven't received all of them. So I was trying to, gather all the homeworks at a time so that I could sit down together, probably on next Wednesday. I had a plan to sit down together and talk about the practice test and also about the unit 1 and this lesson 1 and the lesson 2 that we will be doing today. So এই সবগুলো আমরা answers গুলো discuss করব on next Wednesday. Okay? And tomorrow we have an RLA class. কালকে আমরা সমস্ত homework গুলো discuss করব of the previous week and plus এই week এ আমরা যে unit 3 এর lesson 1 করলাম, lesson 1 ওটার সমস্ত homework ওটা আগামীকাল আমরা ইনশাআল্লাহ discuss করব. And then I'm also give you some homework for the next week as well. So hang on there. We're gonna start discussing the answers pretty soon. As I'm just waiting for everyone to submit their homeworks. As soon as everybody submits, we can start on. Okay. All right. So আজকে, since we're doing lesson 2, if you please look at the book. It's lesson 2 তে এখানে যদিও এখানে বলে দিয়েছি it's about multiple causes and effect, but it's actually more about the inflation. Now, let me talk a bit about inflation. In হচ্ছে কি? Yes, Mahbub. Student book. Oh, sorry. True. I had too many tabs open, so yes. So this is the student book. Can everyone see the screen now? Okay. So before I go in today, I just want to speak a bit about what inflation is, inflation and deflation, and what does it actually, what do you need to know about this in social studies, in GED social studies? I mean, what are the aspects you need to know? Okay, now inflation is basically, how should I say this? You know, the money has a certain value. Now, how do you value money, right? It's a bit complicated scenario. You have, most of you over here, you have heard most probably your grandparents talking about, oh yes, in our time we used to buy this for so little, right? Maybe they used to buy uh, maybe they used to buy 10 kg of rice for just like 20p, or maybe just 30p, maybe back in 50 years back or 60 years back. But the same 10 kg of rice in today's time, it costs like more than maybe 500 taka or 600 taka. So there has been a major change in the price. Why does this price change? Why does it happen? So it actually means that in this entire period of 50 years or 60 years, or how much time is there, the value of the money is actually dropping down. Okay, the value of the money with which you could buy a 10 kg of rice 50 years back, with that same money, with the same value, is not equivalent to today's value. So the value has fallen down. So in order to equivalent that value, which is equivalent to the same, you have to put, which was equivalent to 10 or 15 years back, you have to put in more money to justify the value. Are you getting my point? Right? So basically the value of money is actually dropping down, so you put in more money so that the value actually rises and it becomes equivalent to a 10 kg bag of rice. Okay, so the same thing is basically what happens. The value of the money is something which is um, during inflation it falls down. Okay, and so what happens during inflation? The prices of goods and services, they go up. Okay, I'm gonna give you one more example. Let's say okay, let's say for example I am going to buy this phone. Okay, now I'm saying that okay, now this phone is got the same value as, let's say, whatever I have in front of me. Where is that thing? Okay, now let's say I have this mouse with me, okay, and I'm saying that this phone is equivalent to this mouse. There is no money over here, okay? I'm not gonna bring in money over here. And I'm gonna, if I want to buy this phone from someone, then I could give him this mouse and I could exchange this, I could exchange this phone with him and I could get this phone for myself. But what happened during this period of time? Maybe due to some demand, maybe some due to some supply, the value of this mouse has fallen down. Okay, now maybe when I want to buy this phone from someone, he will say, no, you cannot give me just one mouse. I will need two mouse. Okay, why? Because the value of mouse has fallen down. So in order to equify the value of these two goods, I need to put in another mouse so that it becomes equivalent. So this is what happens in terms of money. When the value of money goes down, you put in more money to equivalent to justify the value, to justify the cost of that particular product. And that's what we call inflation. Inflation, normally people say the prices of goods go up. It's true, the prices of goods do go up, but what the main thing is, why is it going up? Because the value of the money, the value on the currency is actually dropping down. And in order to equivalent, in order to uh, make it equal to that cost of the product, you have to put in more money. So that's why the cost, the value of the price is actually going up. So that is what we call inflation. Now, why does inflation happen? We now know what is inflation. Now the main thing is, now the next thing is, why does it happen? It happens because of number of reasons. Okay, it can be mainly the demand of currency can go down, the demand of currency can go up, the demand of goods and services can fall down. Okay, for example, you can say, if I refer it to one particular product, for example, if I'm selling this good and if it has got more demand in the market, people are really wanting to buy this product. Okay, people are gathering in, they're wanting to buy this product, but I have a very limited supply. My supply is very limited. I don't have. So what do? I increase the prices. Okay, I increase the prices. When I increase the prices, that means automatically the value for this product has is going up. Okay, the value of money is going down, the value of this product is going up. So in order to equify them, I am actually putting in more price in the value of money. Similarly, if you say the demand of this certain phone has gone down, people are not wanting to buy this product anymore, what do? I lowered the prices. So when I lowered the prices, what does it mean? It means the value of money is actually going up. The value of money is the value of money is more compared to the value of this product. So in order to equify them, I am putting less money out of it. I am actually having less money to buy the product. This is why inflation happens, or deflation. Deflation is actually meaning the value of money is going up, or the prices of goods and services going down. I think it might be easier for you. You might be confused, like, sir, what is the value of money and what is the price of goods and services? This might be a bit confusing, but I'm going to explain it to you in this way. They have an inverse relationship. By inverse relation, trying to say, if the value of money goes, then the price of goods and services, they will go up. Okay, the value of money is going up, the price of services will be going down. Why? Because money has got now more value. In order to make it price of goods and services, some money out of the goods and services. So the prices of the goods and services is going down, the value of the money is going up. So they have inverse relationship with each other. Value of money and the price of goods and services. Okay? All right. Now, demand and inflation, they are actually related to each other. How related to each other? Because you see, if there is a demand for a product, but the supply is very much limited, then obviously the price of that particular product is going to go up. Am I right? If there is a high demand of a product in the market, but there is a very little supply, then the demand for that particular product is about to go up. Imagine what happened a few months ago, or maybe just 1 or 2 months ago. We had a huge supply crisis of onions. Do you guys remember that? Yeah, right. So what happened was that we had a shortage of onions. We had a shortage of Indian supply, the supply of Indian onions in our market. So we were actually, and onions are a very necessary product, obviously. So we use it every single day. So what happened, whatever the stock was there, whatever the supply was there, the sellers were actually increasing the prices. Okay, so you see the demand is always there, but the supply became limited, and in order to make it equilibrium, make it like equal, the prices had to be risen. This is what we call an equilibrium point. Do you guys in behind that have an idea of equilibrium point? Equilibrium point is a point where the demand and the supply are equal. Okay, they have to be equal by prices, they have to be equal in some point. For example, um, I am going to buy this phone. Okay, now I want to buy this phone, that means it has got a good demand in the market, right? But this phone is very much limited in stock. It's very much limited in stock. So the seller, in order to make it equal, right? So because he knows that if he sells this product to me at a very low price, then he won't have any more supplies of this, right? There is no way that he's gonna have more supply to sell this more and more. He has only one of this phone left, so he has to make the maximum amount of money by selling this phone to me. So that's why what he's going to do, in order to make the demand and supply equal, he's going to increase the price of this good. He's going to be say, okay, fine, if you want this phone from me, you have to pay this much of Dhaka. Now it's up to you, you buy it or you don't buy it, that's up to you, but I'm going to sell it for this much. That's what happens when we go to maybe uh, let's say a hit movie comes, and we all want to go and buy tickets, and then the tickets go run out, right? Sometimes the halls are booked, the tickets go run out. So maybe some people decided they're not going to go to the movies anymore, they're going to sell their tickets, and they sell their tickets at a very high price. We call it black market. What happens over there? It, because the supply of the tickets are really low, and in order to equalify the supply and demand, he is going to increase the prices. Now it's up to you. If you want to buy the tickets from him, you're going to have to pay that high price. Okay, now that's what is a very natural behavior. That's what happens in businesses as well. That's what happens in every market as well. If the supply is limited, if the demand is high, the prices are about to go up. Similarly, if the supply is, there's a lot of supply, but there is very little demand, the prices have to go down. Okay, and so this increasing of price, this decreasing of price, increasing and decreasing of price is what we call inflation or deflation. Inflation means the increase of prices, and deflation means the decrease of prices. Okay, now if we please have a look at this topic, we all have now good idea about what is inflation and deflation. Book and turn to the skill, the exercises over there. Okay, two important areas of the study of macroeconomics. Why is it about macroeconomics? I already told you last class that macroeconomics is about the study about the whole nation, right? It's not about a current particular product. It's not about a particular company. It's about the nation as a whole. So when we're talking about onions, we are talking about onions not about a particular farm, but we are talking about the price of onions in the entire country, right? So when the price of onions in the entire country is going up, we are saying that onions is facing an inflating price, or onions are being inflated. The price of onions are going up. Okay, so it's all about macroeconomics, and it's a major portion of macroeconomics. In almost, you can say, in A levels, uh, half the syllabus covers inflation of macroeconomics. Inflation. Now to the left hand side, and we can say inflation is a chain reaction of events such as rising and fewer prices. Okay, this is what we talked about, right? That inflation leads to, inflation actually means the decreasing power of money. The power of money, or the value of money, is actually decreasing, and that's why it leads to the increase in prices or fewer purchases, or the selling power falls down. Inflation of supply of money exceeds the goods available. Look at this very carefully. What does the supply of money mean? Uh, the amount of money. Okay, the running circle of money. It exceeds the goods and services that are available. This causes the value of fall, and prices rise. Okay, so the value of money is actually falling down and the price is increasing. This in turn discourages people from making purchases. Inflation's effects are felt in all sectors of the economy and all segments of society. Deflation occurs when prices fall and the value of money rises. So deflation is exactly the opposite. It's when the prices of goods and services, they fall down, and when the value of money is actually increasing. Negative inflation is actually the same as deflation. Deflation is basically the same as negative inflation. Okay, now if we look at over here, inflation uh, is the cause of wars, war problems, supply, and political unrest are some of the effects. Okay, so basically, when there is a war going on, when there is a calamity going on, uh, you know, the inflation is about to happen. For example, if Bangladesh, there is a flood going on in Bangladesh, not now, maybe a few years back. What happens during that time? Most of the crops are destroyed, right? So we are having shortages of food, we are having shortages of rice, our supply has fallen down, but demand is always there. Demand, you cannot bring it down, right? People need to eat. So the demand is always there, but the supply has fallen down. And so the prices of goods and services, they go up. That's when an inflation happens. And then in war times, during the war times, the inflation, even in our country, after the 71 war, uh, from 72 to 75, এটা আমাদের দেশে দুর্ভিক্ষর টাইম বলা হতো। এটা বাংলাতে দুর্ভিক্ষ, but it was actually called as the poverty. We are going through the great poverty. People didn't have jobs, people didn't have any income, and demand was very low. I mean, supply was low, demand was also low, and so the prices of goods and services was not stable. They were high, and people were suffering a lot. Okay. So inflation and the economic instability, its spawns have been known as to cause wars, food supply, and unrest. Developing nations are most injured from inflation. Okay, now let's look at this chart. It's about the U.S. inflation rate by month from 2010 to 2012. Now, if you please look at this. Vertical is basically a rate of inflation, realized rate of every year's rate of inflation. And three bars. There are three colored: blue, there is green, and there is yellow. Blue is for 2010, yellow is for 2012, is for 2011. So we have got 11 and 12. We've got 3 years. And it's got every month over here, January, February, March to, I mean, there are 12 months. So all 12 months over here are given. And then we can see that every month for the January 2010, for January 2011, for January 2012 is this way. Now, if you just normal overview of the entire chart, what can you say? Like, which year was the highest inflation rates? Can you give me an idea? Like, just giving a look at the 9 and from these 4-5 years, it was called the Great Recession. The first world countries, they suffered a lot. There were job cuts, there were the inflation, the prices of things were going up, people were losing their jobs, the demands were falling down, but the prices, you know, so people were actually couldn't buy any more product. The purchasing power of people actually fell down. So it was during that times in US, the inflation that has happened. And then it was pretty much okay in the January, but then if you look at 11, the green, okay, and then over here we have 2010, okay, 2000, they actually better than 2011. They were actually doing much better. 2011 was the worst, but in 2012 they tried to calm down a little bit, but not by that much, a little from the previous year. Now, if you look at question number one, was most likely true in mid to late 2011. So they are talking about 2011, mid to late. Mid to late means like from the year, from the month, maybe from June to the end, December. What was the most likely that has happened? A, higher price, reduced cost spending, and value of money. Now, look at this in very carefully. What is the vertical? This is the rate of inflation, right? So when I say the rate of inflation is very high, it's 4% or it is percent or 5%, it's very high. What does it mean? It means the value of money, is it increased or decreased? Decreased. Very good. So when there's a high rate of inflation, the value of money is actually decreased. So number A, higher prices, okay. Reduced consumer spending, okay. Reduced consumer spending means like people cannot spend much. I get that. I agree with that as well. And increased money. No, I don't think so. Right? The value of money has actually decreased. The prices of goods and services has increased. That I agree. That I can be okay with. But not the value of money. The value of money has actually fallen down. So number B, higher prices, okay, reduced consumer spending and political unrest. Now we don't know anything about political unrest from this particular chart, right? This particular chart doesn't tell us anything about political unrest, so it won't be B. Number C, high prices and political unrest. Now we anything about demand for goods, can we? It doesn't say anything about demand. And then we have D, consumer spending, deflation, and political unrest. So which one do you think is the answer? Why is that? So there is a cause and effect over here. Am I right? Okay, if we look at this first line over here, yes, go on. The answer will be D na? Na, the answer will not be D. Can D hobe? আপনার কি মনে হয় আমাদের ডিফ্লেকশন হচ্ছে? দেন এখানে কি হচ্ছে? এখানে ইনফ্লেশন হচ্ছে। ইনফ্লেশনটা বেড়ে যাচ্ছে। ডিফ্লেশন কিন্তু ইনফ্লেশনের উল্টাটা। Am I right? So it's not বাট এখানে ইনফ্লেশনের সাথে কি কি হচ্ছে এটা একবার খেয়াল করেন। এখানে ওরা এখানে বলে দিচ্ছে if you look at my curse the cost in the supply and political unrest, that means যদি ইনফ্লেশন হয় তাহলে it will bring out political unrest, right? So there is a cause and effect. So inflationটা হচ্ছে cause and inflationের কারণে কি হচ্ছে political হয়। তো এখানে যদি ওরা আমাকে বলে থাকে যে নাম্বার B, if you look at number B, higher consumer spending and unrest. But এখানে ওরা increase for goods, higher prices and political unrest. Which one do you think? এই দুইটার মধ্যে তো যে কোনো একটা হবে নাকি? So which one? Okay. So why won't you go for C? Exactly. That's what I was saying. Like we can have shortages of food, we can have supply, we can have limited supply, but the demand of certain products, demand for food, demand for oil, demand for electricity, demand for water, demand for gas, they won't go down. They are going to be stable, right? The demand is always going to be there. These are the products that you need for everyday life. You cannot just go on, you cannot just think, okay, today I'm just gonna live without any electricity. No, you cannot say that. You need electricity. So demand for these products are always going to be there, but what will happen is going to increase the prices, and due to the increased prices there will be inflation, and due to inflation there will be political unrest. Why there will be a political unrest? Because AJ, prices of goods and services, they're going up. A কারণে people are going to be unhappy. They will have fewer purchasing power. They won't be able to spend more. Their spending power will be very less, and so they will be very much unhappy. People won't be able to buy products, and since people won't be able to buy products, the business will be going out of businesses. They won't be making out that much money anymore. So it's going to create chaos, and then it's going to create more problems. The tax refund, the tax revenue is going to fall down. So this is how it's going to happen. All right, I have 10 more class in during time. Let's move. So it will number B. Okay, if you please look at this question number 2. It's very interesting. We talked about equilibrium point, right? Now there's price, there's an equilibrium price. What is the equilibrium price? It's like a price where the buyer and the seller, they both agrees that the demand and the supply is similar, is equal. Okay, it's more like this, like okay, I want to buy this phone. Okay, if I just I want to buy this phone, and the price is very much limited in supply, right? So the supply is very low and the demand is high, is quite high. I really want to buy this phone, okay? And I'm willing to pay as much money as it requires. Now the seller, he understood that the demand for this phone is really high. So he told me that the price is, it could be risen up. Why did he increase the price? Because in order to ensure that the demand and the supply, they equal, they match. So the point where the demand and the supply, they meet, is actually called the equilibrium price, which means that maybe this phone is for 100 taka, asking for 150 taka. Now I know that I won't be getting this phone for less than 100 taka anywhere. Okay, so I'm willing to pay 150 taka. And so therefore, why am I willing to pay 150 taka? Because the demand is already there and the supply has fallen down. There is not much supply. So in order to match the demand and the supply, I am willing to pay an extra price of 50 taka, with which the demand and the supply is actually matching. That's what we call equilibrium price. I don't have a, but if I do have, then I would have explained to you. There was a graph for supply and demand. There is a chart, there is a graph. It would be easier if I could show you that. Maybe in the next class I will try to figure out some way. They have given an supply graph over here. If you please look at the book, at the bottom question, you see this is a demand curve. Yeah, if you see, there's a curve downhill at a point where it meets the equilibrium price. This verse is about price and the bottom is about the quantity. So quantity side or quantity demand, wherever the two meet point, or we call it the equilibrium price. Okay, now if we look at number 2, in question number 2, this is the point and the price, this is the price. Now if the equilibrium price is above, if the price is point, okay, what will happen? Okay, then it will be, let's say point, right? At the equilibrium point, what is the price? 30. Okay, now I'm thinking about increasing the price. Okay, we are increasing question number 2, we are increasing the, so I am thinking about increasing the price to 50. Okay, now if we look what happens, the demand of maybe 30, but the caution can decrease the demand, and for there are many other factors. Okay, as I told you, the demand, they're keeping the demand at a very low, right? The Crimson Cup owners, the Farmhouse Burger owners, they're keeping their demand at a very low. Okay, why? Because of branding purpose, because of impression purpose, just because of that. For example, the inflation demand is down its price. Inflation raise the cost of producing. Now look at this. Inflation can always pricing an item, putting in high price, which also lead to a decrease in demand. So because of inflation, the prices of goods and services will actually go up, which will actually lead to a decrease in demand. So this is actually a chain reaction, demand, supply, inflation, prices, they're all in a chain reaction. Everyone is uh, linked with one another. But it's not necessarily means it doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, if there is only one particular reason the prices are increasing, or there is only one particular reason the prices are decreasing. There can be many reasons. There can be many reasons the inflation can happen. There can be many reasons the demand can change. There can be many reasons for the supply to change. They are individually independent from one another. But whichever is being affected affects the other one as well. For maybe one example I can tell you, if there's a calamity in the country, if there's a flood in the country, what will happen? We're going to be losing our food crops, so we're going to be losing a lot of supply of food, so the supply will go down. Now because of this supply going down, what will happen? The supply will go down, but the demand is not being affected, right? The demand is still there. While the demand is still there but the supply is going down, we are going to have an increase in the prices. So we are going to have an inflation. So you see there is a chain reaction. Why are these things happening? These things can happen because of many reasons, many independent reasons, but whichever is being affected, it will affect the other one as well. Okay, so let's look at this. Which statements should inflation? Supply and inflation are each basic causes of economic activity. No, these are not the causes of economic activity, causes of many things. B, do not influence. That's not true. They do influence the economy. Definitely, they influence the economy a lot. C, operate independently of one another. No, they don't of one another. They are linked with one another. Maybe they are caused independently of one another, but they're linked with one another. The effects are linked with one another. But the reason why they're happening, the causes of why it is happening, that can be independent. That can be of many reasons. Are by many causes. About it. Number 3, it should be D. Right? Are each influenced by many causes. So number 3 should be D. And then if we look at the last one, based on the information, which of the following needs to exist for the law of supply and demand to function freely? Based on the information, which of the needs to exist for the law of supply and demand to function freely? What does the law of supply and demand actually mean? Do you guys have any idea? The law of supply is actually saying that if prices goes up, the demand will go down. If prices go down, the demand will go up, considering that the supply is not being affected. Similarly, if the prices goes up, then the supply will also go up, and if the price goes down, the supply will also go down, given that the demand is not affected. Did anyone get my law of supply and demand? No? Was it too hard? Sure. I'll again tell you this. Price and demand, they have an inverse relationship. If one thing goes up, the other one goes down. I'll explain it to you. If the price goes up, the demand for a certain product goes down. Okay? If the price goes down, the demand for a certain product goes up. Right? Given that the supply is not affected, if the supply remains the same. Similarly, now what happens when about the supply and price? We talked about demand and price, right? The demand and price has an inverse relationship. But the supply and demand, they have a direct relationship. What does the direct relationship means? Direct proportion. I've got some sorry, just a second. Okay, Jamilur, I'm going to give you my email address and my phone number. If you want to contact me, you can contact me there. Okay, I'm just going to give you my email address over here. All right. So as I was saying, the the relation between supply and the direct relationship. If one goes up, the supply also goes up. Imagine this: when I'm selling a certain product, okay, at a higher price, what will happen? Many other sellers will see it in the market that I am selling this product at a very high price. I am making a lot of money. I am making a lot of profit. So they will also be interested in selling this product. So the supply of this product will actually increase in the market. I will have more competition. I will have more competitors who are coming in the market, right? So basically what happens, if the price goes up, the supply also goes up. And if the price goes down, the supply also goes down, given that the demand is not affected. The demand remains the same. Is this clear? That is the law of supply and demand. Okay, all right. So let's this number A, competition. Number B, government regulation of prices. C, inflation. D, a growing economy. Which of the exist for the law of demand function failure? If you list, there's growing economy, then obviously there should be a law of supply and demand that needs to function freely. But if there is a law of supply and function freely, definitely not. If there's a government comes in and says, no, you cannot sell this product in that much of a price, you have to sell it at very low or you have to sell it at a very high, do you think there will be a law of supply demand going freely? Definitely not. So we are left with number A and D, right? It could be a competition or it could be a growing economy. Competition, yeah. If there is competition, that means people can be, they can be involved in it. But then, what is competition? Competition is about when I am selling a product, there has to be some competitors. That is the competition, right? So I am actually competing about him. Now, the law of supply and demand can only work if there is a competition and also there is consumers. Not only competition, but there should be consumers as well. Consumers, they hold the demand. Competition, they hold the supply. You get the point? And so, in order for the law of supply and demand to function freely, there must be consumers, there must be a set of consumers, and there should be competition as well. So I will say it's number D, a growing economy. A growing economy has both the consumers and competition as well. Is that understood? Okay. I'm going to end today's class. I've got another class at 5, so I have to go. But before I leave, guys, I just want to give you one homework. If you please look at the work. 100. Okay. It's lesson 2 of, if you please do that as homework. And we're going to discuss the homeworks. We're going to discuss about the practice test. We're going to discuss about lesson 1 and we're going to discuss about lesson 2, all on Wednesday. Okay? Thank you. I'm going to end today's class, LA class, okay? And please submit the homework. Whoever has as soon as possible. Okay, now jump on. Yeah.